Hello everybody, we're going to be working on Unit 3, which is proportions. So this is the first section. A lot of this should be review. If there's something here that feels, that you don't really understand it, make sure to let me know right away rather than just move on. Okay, so we have really one thing to talk about, which is percents. And percents are ratios or fractions that compare numbers to 100. Okay, and that's important to understand because if you're dealing with a percent like 23%, what that really means is 23 over 100. Okay, and then on the scale of percentages, you have 0 all the way up to 100%. Well, this is just a scale of 0 to 1. Okay, so anything between 0% and 100% is less than 1, and it will make a number smaller. Okay, and you should understand that from like taking tests or quizzes when the goal is to get 100%, and then anything less than that is, not quite what you're trying to reach. So we have ratios on the left, which are fractions. We have decimals in the middle, and then finally we have percentages. And the way that you get from ratios to decimals is you could do it using long division, but for this chapter I'll allow you to use calculators. So the ratio 1/3 is 0.33 repeating. And since we don't use repeating symbols, we're just going to go 0.33. And then to make a decimal into a percent, you're going to move the decimal place 2 to the right, like that. So you get 33%. Now, if we have a decimal, going from a decimal to a percent is pretty easy. You just move that decimal place 2 to the right, 1, 2, and you get 54%. Now going from a decimal to a ratio is not too bad either, or from a percent to a ratio, it's the same thing. We're going to do 54 over 100. And then we just simplify. We divide the top and the bottom by 2, and so we get 27 over 50. So these three things all represent the same. Going from a percent backwards to a decimal, we take the decimal place here and we're going to move it 2 to the left this time. So 1, 2, it'll be in front of the 8, so 0.86. And then to make a ratio, we do 86 over 100. Divide by 2 on the top and the bottom, 43 over 50. Okay, and then the last one, 4/7, same thing as we did at the beginning, 4 divided by 7. We get 0.57. I almost always use 2 decimal places. And then once again, to turn that into percent, we do 57%. Okay, so the big thing I want you to understand is ratios are fractions, decimals and percentages all mean the same thing, they just look different than each other. So I want you to try this on your own, and then I will go over it. Okay, so 4/9 is 0.44, which is 44%. 0.23 is 23%, and 23 over 100. 44% turns into 0.44, and we do 44 over 100. 22 over 50. Something doesn't feel right here. And 11 over 25. And if we do 11 over 25, it's 0.44, and 4 divided by 9 is 0.444 repeating. So they're very, very close to each other, even though they're not the same. That's why the decimals and the percents matched up. The last one is 1/8, which is 0.125. I'm going to round that up to 0.13 and 13%. Okay, so that's the first part of the section, being able to go between fractions, decimals, and percents. Okay. So what we're going to do here is organize these from least to greatest. Okay, so in order to do that, we need to have all of these being the same as each other. So I can't compare a fraction to a decimal or a percent, or to a decimal, we need them all the same thing. Well, I'm going to turn them all into percentages. And I know 1/2, well, that's 0.50 or 50%. That's a percentage. That can turn into 23%, and that's 36. So in order to do this from least to greatest, you always write the original number. Don't write these, write the originals. So it goes 0.23 first, then 36%, then 37%, and then 1/2. Down here on the bottom, the same thing. 3/7, so I'm going to need a calculator for that one. So that's 0.43, because I'm going to round up. Or 43%. That's a percentage. That needs to be a percentage. Oops, 12%. And we know this one from earlier was 33%. So now to write them in order from least to greatest, well, that was first, so 0.12. That was second, 1/3. That was third, 3/7. And last was 83%. Least to greatest. Now, if you didn't want to do percentages, you want to turn them all into fractions or all into decimals, that's totally fine with me. As long as you write the original numbers down at the bottom, it doesn't make a difference. So I'd like you to try these on your own. So this is 33%. This is already percent. 42%. 3/8 we need a calculator for. So 38%. And negative 22%. So negative 22% should be first. Second should be 23%. Third should be 3/8. Fourth should be 1/3. And fifth should be 0.42. Okay, any questions on that? Make sure you ask me. Couple quick story problems. The U.S. nickel used to be 100% nickel. Now it is, I can't spell apparently, it is 3 parts copper and 1 part nickel. What percent nickel is the coin today? So we want to know part over whole. That's always going to be the way that we think of these. So you want the total on the bottom and you want the part you're looking for on the top. So we have 4 total parts, 3 parts copper, 1 part nickel, and the top will be 1 part nickel. Turn that into a decimal, that's 0.25. And as a percentage, it is 25%. 1/4. Okay, so it's always important to find the whole parts on the bottom and the specific part you're looking for on the top, and then just turn it into percent. Try these two on your own. Mr. Schmidt saw a shot, 18 baskets, and he made 13. What was his percentage? Well, that's 13 out of 18. Yep. And then 0.72 or 72%. Adriana did a survey of MCM students. She asked 70 students what their favorite class was. 45 said math was their favorite class. 13 said gym. What percent picked math? I think what's interesting here is this piece of information is actually totally useless. It's there to trick you. So we just need 45 out of 70. Which is 0.64 or 64%. Okay, I went a little quickly through this section because I feel like it's things that you guys probably know, and a couple of you probably cruised through this pretty quickly, which is totally fine. If you bring the code word into class tomorrow, you will get a piece of candy, and the code word is going to be the best basketball team on the planet. Okay, we will see you tomorrow. Oh, ignore that. Don't do that. Should be on IXL.